said, excuse me? I thought you paid all this money because you were going to go through our 10-day detoxification program. She says, well, I just came to accompany my husband. And I said, may I make a statement, please, and speak very frankly to you? And she said, yes, you may. And I said, you need it more than anybody here. How can you tell? I said, you're carrying a lot of pain in your face. And you have the signs of disease around your eyes. See, a good physician can many times diagnose a patient just by looking at their features. Is there dandruff on the shoulders? Are the eyes red? Is there acne on the face? Is the skin yellow? Are the teeth rotting? Are there cracks in the corners of the mouth? Are the eyelids feeling like grit when you blink your eyes? There's many detectable signs of disease just in the features and the facial faces of human beings. So I said to her, you need it more than anybody here. And she says, well, I never told you on my application form that I have ovarian cancer with metastases. And I'm hemorrhaging right now, vaginally. I said, well, do you think you need the program? She said, yeah, I guess so, I'll do it. So she started to do the program with everybody else. And here's what I saw. I saw a woman who came out every morning, sat down at 5:45 in the morning when they were going to get their half-gallon isotonic beverage to flush the colon. And she would have her head down, mumbling, life is no fun, life is no good, and this frown on her face. And I would slap her chin and say, get up, 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 up. What you think is going to affect your immune system. You are communicating disease to your very cells. They think they're dying because of your thoughts. And she says to me, okay, life is good. And she'd come out the next morning, slap her chin again, heads down. She's sitting there in this position. And then I was doing a presentation called Emotions in Cancer, which really sparked her interest. And in this book that I have, written by a psychologist, it says in it, you know, what's your song in life that you would like to sing? What would really make you happy? And she looked at me, and her answer was this. I would love to make mud patties with your 4-year-old girl. I said, that can be arranged. And see, Dr. Schultz taught me about the mind and healing. He told me about the time when he had this woman who came who was always depressed and melancholy and slept all the time. And she came for an appointment at his office, and he said, come on, let's do the appointment as we walk on the beach by the ocean. And he said this big wave came in, and he grabbed her, and he threw her out in the wave. And she came rolling in, and he picked her up, and he throws her into the wave again. He did about 3 times. He said the next day the lady called him up and said, you about killed me. And he said, well, you know, sometimes we use some different techniques. And he said, she said to him, no, I'm not talking about the waves. I'm talking about I was so relaxed after our session that I nearly fell asleep at the wheel driving home. She had peace. So when I had this woman with the black circles around her eyes, hemorrhaging vaginally with cancer and metastases, ovarian cancer, you know what? She wants to make mud patties. And I know that this will be as healing as 13 juices a day. So I bring her out to our orchard, and it had rained a couple days before, and it was muddy. And I tapped her, and I said, you're it. And I took off running, and she starts chasing me. And we're running through the orchard, going around the apple tree and the persimmon tree and the plum tree. And as I hit the orange tree, I turned back and she hit this little mound and flew and fell flat on her face into the mud. And what do you think happened? Life ain't worth living. I haven't had this much fun in 20 years. And then she went and made mud patties with my little girl. For about an hour and a half, she's making little mud patties. And you know what? In 3 days, the black circles around her eyes began to change. By day 5, gone. Gone. And she came out happy every day, smiling every day. And when we had our little one-on-one time, she finished flushing the emotions of the mind. Her bleeding stopped on day 7. You cannot heal people just addressing the physical. You cannot heal people just addressing the mental. You cannot heal people unless you combine the 3 tangibles: physical, mental, and spiritual healing. Mind body care is now in the mainstream of cancer treatment. A wise woman once wrote in the 1800s in a book called Healthful Living, she made this comment about the brain nerves like telegraph wires. And you see this synapse there of this neuron shooting its electrical charge through this, looks like a cable. This is in our bodies. And it says every organ of the body was to be made servant of the mind. The brain is the capital of the body, the seat of all nervous forces and of mental action. The nerves proceeding from the brain control the body. By the brain nerves, mental impressions are conveyed to all the nerves of the body as by telegraph wires, and they control the vital action of every part of the system. All the organs of motion are governed by the communications that they receive from the brain. And here you have an illustration of a brain cell, a neuron, that at that axon there, it shoots an electrical charge through the synapse to other cells, thus communicating with one another. In fact, on this slide, you see the spark. Incredible. An electric charge from my brain to my hand? When a person is confronted by a stressful situation, such as an angry dog, a complex series of neurogenic and humoral reactions are set in motion as the total organism responds, as illustrated by this drawing. I'll read this to you now and let you understand what's happening. Consider what probably takes place when you encounter an angry dog while walking on a dark night. Reactions caused by the barking and the growling sounds flow rapidly to the brainstem, from which signals go to the other involved neurons. Impulses surge into the limbic or the emotional brain, and thus the body immediately is set to react for possible crisis. Consequently, as the dog approaches, the eyes dilate. The hair on the back of the neck seems to stand up. The heart and respiration quicken, and the lung bronchi are dilated. You're now ready to make a cortical decision. Learned patterns of response are consulted, and consequently, you either fight or take flight. Either way, the limbic brain is in a state of immense activity. The hypothalamus is coordinating the autonomic nervous system during the emergency. Blood pressure is now increased, and local blood flow is shifted from the skin to the muscles, which is a good thing if you happen to be seriously bitten by the dog. It will reduce blood loss.